Today's video is sponsored by Crown Credit Pro. So in my hand right now, I'm holding hundreds of thousands of dollars in revolving personal and business credit cards. So Visa, MasterCard, American Express. And I'm someone who started off way back in the day with bad credit. So one of the things that prevented me from getting approvals early on was the presence of derogatory items. So having late payments, collections, and things like that, that prevented me from getting approved for a lot of different credit cards. So early on, when I was applying, I was getting denied for a lot of different credit cards. It wasn't until I actually cleaned up the derogatory items off of my credit report that I was able to amass hundreds of thousands of dollars in revolving credit. And I'm at the point now where I just want to share this information to help you guys achieve the same results. And if you want to get hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit, you want to make sure that your credit profile is as clean as possible. Even if you have closed out collections, late payments from years ago, just the mere presence of those items on your credit is going to prevent you from getting approved for as much as you possibly can. So what you want to do is focus on getting those items removed. Crown Credit Pro is one of the best in the industry. They're able to get anything off of your credit report, including child support, late payments, federal student loans, collections, repos, you name it. Now, if you don't know where to start, you could definitely reach out to Crown Credit Pro. Crown Credit Pro is one of the best in the industry with getting derogatory items off of your credit report. If you're interested in a free consultation, we've dropped the link in the description of the video for you to check out.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Credit Plug channel, where we talk about how to build credit, how to establish relationships with banks and financial institutions, and most importantly, how to get you access to high limit credit funding. So for today's video, we have another special guest that we're going to be sharing his experience with credit. And this is just another example of why you want to have a strong financial reputation. So for today's video, we have one of my boys, Tyler. Definitely appreciate you for coming on and just sharing your story with the subscribers. So let's jump right into it. So in terms of credit, right? What was your experience like in your early adulthood, in your early 20s? How would you characterize like your experience with credit early on?
My experience with credit early. So first of all, I gotta say thank you. First of all,
oh yeah,
you the man. Like the Credit Plug. If you follow on the show, if you follow on the channel, you're already making good decisions. So let's just get that out the way. But I definitely appreciate the time. My experience with credit in my 20s, I was active duty. So when you give a 20-year-old a lot of money with no mentorship, it wasn't really good. I was 22 years old with a Lincoln Navigator on 22s. But guess what? Guess what was the stupid thing? Gas was $4 a gallon. So I wasn't really making wise decisions. I was following the Joneses, I like Navigators, don't get me wrong. But the thing is, when you give a young person a lot of money with no mentorship, you're a kid in Toys R Us. You're just older.
Exactly.
And you don't really see the repercussions of it until you want to do something to the next level.
I can at least speak for myself, sort of the same way, you're spending money using credit, but the thought of repaying that is kind of on the back burner, and you don't really realize at that young age what the repercussions are when you don't handle your finances responsibly. At what age did you realize like the importance of it in terms of like major life events, whether that's trying to get an apartment, trying to finance a vehicle? When did you sort of realize, okay, I need to buckle down and make sure I maintain a good financial reputation?
Sadly, it wasn't until my later 20s, because when you're active duty, we gotta understand there's sharks in the water. You go somewhere and they tell you, hey, you can get this right now with no money down. And then they got you, because when you have a steady source of income, that means they know you could pay the bill. And so it wasn't until I did my debt to income ratio to my late 20s, when I was trying to like get a house at the time, but also looking at apartments, but also just doing a budget, my debt to income ratio, how much was coming in and how much was going out.
Right.
Everybody can tell you what they make, but you can't tell you what they keep.
Exactly.
And so it was my late 20s around when I started to like say, all right, I'm making a lot of small payments. Where's all my money going?
Exactly. And that's one thing, you may not realize as well. Those small payments add up, especially if you're paying higher interest due to your credit rating. I put out an example the other day how, there's a difference in, let's say, the interest that you might be paying on a vehicle loan if you have bad credit versus having good credit, and the difference can be pretty significant. Fixing your credit, how did that enable you to improve your overall quality of life? I know you have a real nice vehicle now. How were you able to go about obtaining that, and how was fixing your credit enabling you to be able to get that vehicle at a low interest rate?
And so all my decisions are based off just trying to be the best person, and therefore I wanted to make sure all my financial decisions weren't being a burden to my family. And so the thought process was, it was more about like peace of quality of life. I don't owe nobody no money. Exactly. Don't call me. Don't look at me. Like, can't nobody say they need my money? No, I don't owe you nothing. And so when you young and people calling on you for bills, you want like, no, don't call me because I don't owe you nothing. Is this a certain type of peace of like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Is this a certain type of just quality of life that I just wanted for my lifestyle?
Absolutely, and that's a good point, because I feel like when it comes to credit, it's not just about how much money you're coming in. But it's really about your mindset, because there could be situations where people might actually have the money, and I've seen this, where they have the money, but they, have no problem with owing people, or, they just may feel like, they just don't want to pay it. So relationships are supposed to go both ways. It's not just, what I could get from you versus what you can get from me. When it comes to financial institutions, you want to maintain that reputation. I think having that mindset from the get-go is very important.
And then also, just to piggyback on that thought process, when you're increasing your credit, it's a part of your net worth. And so now it's versus owing a bunch of people all accumulated together $50,000, having 50 grand in credit, just being there just in case something happens. And so it's like, even though you got the money, it's dope to not be able to spend it, to not have to spend it.
Exactly. And then, with the credit, I mean, you should always treat that kind of like a debit card, right? Because you want to build some data from the transactions that you're making, because that's going to enable you to be able to get other things like, vehicles at low interest rates, mortgages, business loans. What advice would you give to people, especially young people, about the importance of maintaining good financial credibility and just having integrity?
When you have your income itemized, that you know where your money is going and where it's not going, you're saving money every day. And so when you get into that, I don't say entrepreneur mindset, we're talking to a lot of millennials right now, but it's when you have your credit structured right, that you know that you're getting positive remarks on a month in and month out basis, paid on time. There's nothing wrong with building your credit. But we're talking about being financially responsible, being financially disciplined.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? We want those low interest rates. And then the dope thing about it is, when you do that, when you get to your 30s, you can go get something very nice for very low interest. Because most people are getting like a $17,000 vehicle, which is dope, but because of your interest, you just paid 40 grand for that vehicle. And so we got to slow down to go faster. With something I also learned from one of my mentors is just reading, understanding what that fine print actually means, and we can be preventative on it. And following people like you, I appreciate you just as somebody that takes the time to put out quality information that people can not only get education on credit, but ways that people can increase their credit history in terms of positive remarks.
Absolutely, and I think the biggest thing when it comes to just keeping a positive financial reputation is, like you mentioned, the discipline. Being disciplined to pay back your credit cards, your loans, because it really takes discipline to be able to follow through on that for a long period of time. And if you are able to, that's when you'll be able to reap the benefits of having good credit, having access. If you have a reputation of not paying back, people or lenders, whoever, they're not going to want to do business with you, and it's going to make your life a lot more challenging because you have less options available. We want to have as many options as possible, and that's one of the things that you can accomplish by having a firm financial reputation. But it all comes back down to discipline. So,
and then one thing that people forget when you say your life, but most of us has families. Well, guess what? What if something terrible was to happen to you? Your family has to pay off that debt now. So the more responsible that we are now, it's less that our loved ones have to worry about when it's time for us to go. Funerals are not cheap, you know? And so, but at the same time, when you pass away, those debt letters, they go to the children. They go to the wife, they go to the spouse. So if you love your loved ones, we can do things now to make sure our loved ones have peace of mind.
Absolutely. Great points, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing, your experience with our subscribers. If anyone, is in a position where, your credit might have some blemishes on it, we have a great partner, Crown Credit Pro. They can get bankruptcy, student loans, child support, collections, judgments, any type of items they can get removed from your credit, so you don't have to pay high interest on cars or get denied for credit cards and loans. We've dropped links in the description of the video for anyone wanting to sign up. That's all we're covering on today's video. Until next time, take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.